This is Art Television.
Coming up, State of Business, sponsored by
SLT Mobitel Home Broadband Online Learning සහ Working Data දීමනා SLT Mobitel.
IWS Aviation.
A very good evening and a warm welcome to State of Business on Art Television. I'm Shaina Ali. Let's have a look at the headlines first. Government allows banks to issue letters of credit from tomorrow. Minister Kehlia reveals. Country's forex reserve fall is temporary and will be boosted soon, State Minister Cabral says. News in detail. Cabinet spokesman Minister Kehlia Rambukwala today announced that the restrictions on banks to issuing for letters of credit will be eased from tomorrow onwards. Minister Rambukwala made this revelation while briefing the media personnel about the government's success story of settling the $1 billion sovereign bond, which is due for yesterday.
මේ කොවිඩ් වසංගතයත් එක්ක මුළු ලෝකෙම හඬා වැළපෙන සහ ආර්ථික කඩාවැටීමක් තියෙන මොහොතක අපි අපේ මේ විවේචනයන් ඉතාමත්ම සාධාරණ ලෙස බාර අරන් අපි අපේ කැෂ් ෆ්ලෝ එක එහෙම නැත්නම් මූල්‍යමය හැසිරීම ඉතාමත්ම දක්ෂ ලෙස කරපු එකට කදිම සාක්ෂියක් තමයි ඊයේ දවසේ අපිට ගෙවන්න තිබ්බ බිලියනය අපිට කිසිම පීඩනයක් නැතුව අපට ගෙවා ගන්නට හැකියාවක් ලැබුණා. හෙට දවසේ ඉඳන් මුළු බැංකු පද්ධතියම ණයවර ලිපි ඉදිරිපත් කිරීම භාණ්ඩ ගෙන්වීම ඒ ගැන කිසිම බාධාවකින් තොරව ඉදිරියට යන්නට පුළුවන් වාතාවරණයක් අපි හදලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම ලබන ජනවාරි අපිට තියෙන මිලියන 500ක් ගෙවන්න. ජූලි මාසෙ වෙනකොට බිලියනයක් අපි ඒ සම්බන්ධව අපේ ඉතිහාසයේ පළවෙනියම විශේෂම මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමාගේ 2005 සිට 2015 කාලයේ තිබුණ එකම අවස්ථාවකත් අපේ ඩිෆෝල්ට් එකක් තිබ්බේ නැහැ. අපිට ගෙවන්න තිබ්බ සියලුම අවස්ථාවලදී අපි ගෙවන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ කාලයේත් ওই විවේචනයන් ওই ආකාරයෙන් එල්ල වුණා. ඊට වඩා දරුණු ලෙස පහුගිය කාලයේදී මේ වෙනුවෙන් විවේචනයන් එල්ල වුණා. අපි බොහොම සතුටු වෙනවා. ඒ විවේචනයන් අභිබවා ඒ විවේචනයන් වලට සැබවින්ම ප්‍රායෝගික පිළිතුරක් දෙන්න අපිට හැකියාව ලැබීම සම්බන්ධව
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa expressed the hope that more countries would be inspired by Sri Lanka's bold approach to sustainably transform its agricultural system to organic agriculture in order to ensure food security and nutrition for future generations. The President made these remarks addressing the virtual session of the pre-summit of the UN Food System Summit yesterday. Leaders from a number of countries are taking part in the three-day summit, which is chaired by UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres. In partnership with the government of Italy, the summit takes place in Rome as commenced yesterday and will conclude tomorrow. The conference will discuss the impact of food systems on achieving and desired sustainable development goals by 2030. Representatives from a wide range of fields, including young people, farmers, indigenous people, civil society activists, researchers, are joining the conference with a new approach. The heads of state who addressed the conference yesterday focused on food security, mitigation of climate change, strengthening of environmental protection, and prevention of biodiversity loss.
Only if we put the right to adequate food.
We now are going to go to the video I mentioned with the President of Sri Lanka.
Excellencies,
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa said that the right to food is a fundamental human right and added that though the governments act individually to safeguard this right for their people, they must broaden their understanding of the complexities of the global food system. Addressing the summit, President Rajapaksa stressed that the challenges could not be faced alone and that collective action was needed to overcome those.
my government's decision to ban artificial fertilizers and agrochemicals was in response to these serious issues. Despite teething problems that must be overcome in the short term, this decision will enable a much needed national transition to a healthier, more ecologically sound system of organic agriculture in the long run. My government will support our farmers and agribusinesses as this transition takes place. We also greatly welcome the support of the international community in this endeavor. Sri Lanka has a rich agricultural heritage deeply entwined with its ancient hydraulic civilization that spanned thousands of years. Sustainable organic agriculture is not new to us, but a historic practice we seek to revitalize with new scientific advances and management techniques in collaboration with our partners.
Stay tuned for more news right after this commercial break.
Sponsored by
SLT Mobitel Home Broadband within online learning සහ online working සඳහා ඇදහිය නොහැකි data දීමනා ජීවිතයක් රුපියල් 195යි GB 100ක් රුපියල් 490යි SLT Mobitel එකම එක සමය.
News, views, highlights, updates and opinions. This is Wake Up with us.
Welcome back after the break. While President Gotabaya Rajapaksa announces the world about his decision on banning the chemical fertilizers in the country, media personnel today questioned Cabinet spokesman Dr. Ramesh Patirana on using the chemical fertilizer on the tea industry.
We are very seriously looking into the different effects in relation to chemical fertilizer ban. And also at the same time, we have gone ahead with the tender process of securing organic fertilizer which is needed specifically for the tea industry. So we have seen some important and interesting suppliers. They have come forward to supply. Nitrogen is the basic requirement. So we have seen some organic fertilizer suppliers. They have come forward to supply good quality organic fertilizer. So those consignments would reach Sri Lanka by October this year. So until such time, we have a quantity. That quantity is distributed to the tea factories, but big quantity wise we are not releasing. Step by step we are releasing to ensure that everybody gets a share. But we are analyzing the situation, but at the same time I must mention Sri Lanka has recorded highest yield for first 6 months in the country. We have got 160 million kilos, which is one of the highest in the history ever. So actually we were looking forward to get highest green leaf quantity in the country in 2021. Despite these difficulties encountered by farmers, we are very hopeful that we should be able to reach our targets, and government is committed to provide something good for the tea industry, fertilizer wise.
State Minister for Money and Capital Markets Nivad Cabral voices that Sri Lanka's forex reserve fall after yesterday's sovereign bond payment will be temporary. State Minister Cabral added that the temporary downturn will be boosted later with other inflows, including investments into underutilized government. State Minister for Money and Capital Markets Ajit Nivad Cabral said that Sri Lanka had about $4 billion of gross official reserves, of which $1 billion flowed out for bond payment yesterday. State Minister said that, however, about 200 is expected to be recouped with swaps from the domestic holders of bonds who hold about $310 million. He also explained that there was also $250 million swap with the Bangladesh Bank, a $400 million swap from the Reserve Bank of India, and an $800 million special drawing right allocation was also expected from the International Monetary Fund. State Minister Cabral was fully positive with the situation and said that the central bank will buy a part of the inflows, and the CBSL has already placed a surrender requirement on export proceeds and remittances. Sri Lanka has readied 42 projects involving underutilized state, land and public-private partnerships. These included the General Post Office, the Grand Orient Hotel and Narahimpita Tractor Corporation land, where investors were interested. State Minister Cabral assured that the projects has the potential to bring around $700 million to $1,000 million. Sri Lanka also has a $1.5 billion equivalent swap facility from the People's Bank of China and a $300 million equivalent loan expected from the China Development Bank. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a negative note today. The All-Share Price Index dropped by 29.75 points to close at 8,092.98 and the S&P SL20 dropped by 11.79 points to close at 3,048.22. The turnover was 2.3 billion rupees and over 146 million shares were traded. Up next are Forex rates. And that's all news for today. See you tomorrow with State of Business at the usual time. Until then, take care and good night.
State of Business was sponsored by
SLT Mobitel Home Broadband Online Learning සහ Working Data දීමනා. SLT Mobitel.
IWS Aviation.